Hello and welcome back. In the past few sections, we have actually looked at how to bring up our landing page for the Indie Cafe project. And you've deployed that on the cloud as well. And you've shared that link with your product manager and he's very happy with the progress. And eventually, he also ended up showing this to the stakeholders who are also very happy with the progress. And then they have gone ahead and made a plan for the next component, which is the browse catalog. And so as part of this next few sessions, we will be looking at the requirements for the browse catalog in terms of how we display the different dishes that we essentially offer to our customers on this website, where they can go ahead and add them to their cart, do electronic payments online, and then get food delivered to their homes. Okay? So with this in mind, let's go ahead and look at our architectural diagram for a moment. So if I go back to one of the diagrams that we were earlier referring to, I initially put that, we were going to be here during the entire session where we were developing the landing page and the layout framework. But going forwards from here on in, the focus is going to kind of shift towards both the front end and the back end, right? And to some extent to the MongoDB as well, where we have to essentially define our schemas and expose them and to allow our data to be stored in MongoDB. Okay, so we'll be flipping back and forth majority of the times between the front end, the Node backend, Node and Express backend, and the MongoDB. Again, MongoDB and the API backend kind of happens hand in hand because they are kind of entwined to each other to essentially show any kind of semblance of progress when we essentially do some deliveries there. Okay, and so with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to develop our browse component, and I'll also go to the reference app shortly in terms of how it looks like. And let's also take a deployment diagram graphic as well. So here is the deployment graphic. So we have already gone ahead and deployed our React frontend in the Netlify, and we will be going ahead and deploying our backend APIs on Heroku. And MongoDB is anyway a software hosted service that we're going to be using and signing up for. Okay, so let's go back to our code base. This is the one. Let me maximize this. I'll also go ahead and close these windows, open windows, all of them. Close everything. Close all. Okay, and I'll head over to the sidebar. Under components, I will go ahead and not under landing page, under components, I'll go ahead and say new folder, and I'm going to say browse. Okay, alright, and inside here I'm going to actually create a new file for the browse component. I'll call it browse.js, and I will also go ahead and create my arrow function for the browse, and using the RAFC shorthand. Now this, in my opinion, I think I chose the wrong one. First one, I want the first one. React arrow function, yeah, that's the one I needed. And I will go ahead and create the boilerplate code in here. And first thing is I'll say const render browse. I'll just say render catalog, because essentially this is a catalog, to be honest. I'll just say render catalog. Okay, could have actually named the whole thing also as catalog, in my opinion. Okay, maybe we should just do that. Okay, let's go ahead and do that because that looks more intuitive in my opinion. I will go ahead and delete this file in here. Or maybe I could just rename that. Yeah, let's go ahead and rename. Let's say catalog. Okay, alright. And in here, I'll just make sure I rename here as well. Let's say catalog. Okay, super. And I will also go ahead and create this method now. Render catalog. Excellent. So in here, we'll well, for now, what I'm going to do is I think I can actually make it a concise syntax. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and say I want a div in here. Let's say it's catalog. Okay. Again, as I said, this is a very preliminary, rudimentary version of our catalog, and we'll build on top of this. Okay. Alright, so let me go ahead and save this. Something went wrong here. Const catalog, I probably. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call this method in here. It says render catalog. Okay. Super. Yeah, this is going to be quite an involved component actually, because there's a whole lot of things that we want to do in here. And I'll go to the reference app shortly, right after this. Okay, and but I'll just try to bring in the reference component front and then put in the routes part, and then make sure we're able to see that on our browse route. Okay. All right. So what else do we have here? So we have the catalog component here, and let's go over to the routes now. In here, I'm going to import catalog. Okay, and that's going to be from one step above, I would think, yeah, and catalog. We have a catalog here, right? Oh, that's a browse. Okay. So what we need to do is we may also need to go ahead and change this to catalog now. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, super. So I'm going to say get catalog from one step above and into the catalog folder. Oops, I chose the wrong folder. Catalog folder, yeah. / catalog. Okay. Alright. So what do we do here? We will then introduce a route for the catalog. So I'll say route, and I'll say path. Okay. And this is going to be present. I think we call that catalog browser, right? So we'll have to make the changes in there. Say catalog exact. Okay. And yeah, so essentially we're going to render the catalog component here on this path here. Okay, let me go ahead and save this. The thing is, we don't have a route for catalog in our navbar, right? So if I right now go here and look at what's being rendered, right? So browse doesn't have anything, right? We don't have anything that's wired in for any route wired in for catalog. In fact, we do have it now, but that's not referenced in our navbar.js. Let's head over to the navbar.js quickly. And what I'm going to do is head over to the browse. I think we'll just go ahead and retain the browse here. Okay, and I will call this catalog. Let's see what happens. In fact, we actually forgot to do one thing here, right? In the catalog page, instead of the div, we should be using the layout component, right? So otherwise it won't get rendered at all, correct? So if I go ahead and do this one right now, well, let's say I go ahead and save this and look, if I go into browse now, it doesn't give me anything, interestingly. Okay, because I already have that set for catalog in here. Okay, it is not set yet. Okay, it is set to catalog. Okay, let me go ahead and directly head over to the catalog. Okay, and let's see what component gets rendered there. Yeah, that's what we thought, right? So it doesn't have our layout framework incorporated yet, so it gives us this particular view, right? Okay. So what we're going to do now is a couple of things. So we have the catalog in here, but apparently when we clicked on the browse, it was not showing. So is it okay right now? Yeah, now it should be able to. I think it was probably not refreshed, so we're not seeing the updated view. Okay, so let's head over to catalog, and instead of returning a div, let's return a layout. Okay, So say layout, okay, and I'm not sure why it doesn't allow me to, probably this one, okay. Then I'll probably wrap this in a, oops, not in here, with an angular bracket to start with. And what can we do here? We have to give a title here. I'll just give a product title like dishes catalog. Again, we can keep this, we can keep a temporary name, but for now we'll just have dishes catalog as a title. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this in here, and I'll also say give something in here in an H2, probably say H2, and I'm going to say to the catalog or something like that. Yeah, can be anything essentially. Yeah, there we go. So right now it's able to render our stuff in here. Okay, and recall we have not specified any background here. So if I were to specify a background here, background is equal to, let's say, true, it would have given us a nice background as well. But I'm not going to go ahead. Oops. Yeah, there we go. All right. But I don't want to have a background for the catalog because we'll probably revisit that in case in the future if you want to have a background, we could. But for now, I'll go without the background. Super. So we have our basic component for browse, okay, even though we're not necessarily displaying anything. And in the next class, we'll go look at the reference app in terms of what essentially is laid out for the catalog, and also the title here, if we have to change that, okay. And then we will go ahead and build that, okay. So the first part will be building one half of the catalog using the UI only components, and subsequently we move back to the backend component as we discussed earlier, and essentially design a few APIs which can fetch data from the databases and provide data to our front-end UI, and we had to wire up that integration as well. So we'll be doing that in the latter half. For the next class, it'll be UI-centric work, and then subsequently we move back to the, or in fact we will foray into the backend world and also the database world. Let's take a quick pause here. We'll come back and continue on building this catalog component.